Reddit. What is the worst way you have ruined an intimate moment? I crap my pants 20 minutes before getting engaged. He still popped the question. Looks like I've got to keep her. I called the cops once when someone was breaking into my neighbor's garage. Turns out it was two teens trying to have sex on the roof. I felt real bad about that one. 4 townships showed up. Yes, officer, you heard me correctly. One thief is holding the other like a wheelbarrow as they try to enter the home. About 10 years ago when my wife and I were just dating, I was over at her place hanging out. She was cleaning up her room going through a bunch of old stuff and she came across a set of candy nipple tassels that her ex had bought her. Instead of throwing them out, I took off my shirt and put them on and started dancing around. She didn't find it as funny as I did, so I went to go surprise her mom. I had heard the garage door open a few minutes prior, which meant that her mom and her mom's boyfriend were outside smoking. I went down to the garage and ripped off my shirt, started dancing and yelled, "Is it hot in here? Or is it just me?" This normally would have gotten a good laugh. But her mom's boyfriend had got a call a minute prior and found out that his mom had just died and he was crying and being consoled. It wasn't a sexy intimate moment, but it was definitely an intimate moment that I totally ruined. Mom always used to do that. Sobs. Friend's 3-year-old brother walked in on their parents bumping uglies and exclaimed, well, what do we have here? I thought that was pretty smooth for a toddler. He's destined to become a P-star. A vicious nosebleed can ruin one real quick. Luckily it was with my girlfriend of many years, but the lights were off and I didn't quite realize what was happening and just thought my nose started running. I was on top of her pumping away and stopped to wipe my nose and sniff for about 30 seconds. Then she said she felt something dripping and we turned the light on and it looked like a freaking murder scene. Blood all over my face and her neck, chest and my chest because we had rubbed it together. We were just so into it neither of us noticed the blood. Had to stop to get my nose to stop bleeding and then we just called quits and both showered. Things were heating up with the ex. I was licking and sucking on her glorious tea. I guess I looked up from the wrong angle and she said I looked like a baby. For reasons unknown I quipped back with, "Yeah, sexy baby." Things came to halt. That wasn't even weird. It was just a joke. If anything, she was the weird one. I had a girlfriend, now ex, agree to give me a bar. As soon as her tongue hit my pooper, it tickled. So I farted directly onto her tongue. Sexy time over. Well, no wonder why she is your ex. While kissing, I sharply exhaled into her mouth on impulse. My breath was fine. She just lost her crap and couldn't stop laughing because it felt weird and was unexpected. After she finally calmed down, I got her to do it to me and I gotta say, it's a strange feeling. I wouldn't say it ruined the moment, but it definitely removed the intimacy from it. 10/10 would recommend in a stable relationship. I do this to my girlfriend for fun and she hates it. Was joking around with my GF and before we kissed, she said she was unsure how to go about it as we were new to it. Jokingly, I said just close your eyes and think of England. We both laughed and carried on building up to the kiss. Fast forward 5 minutes and we're finally kissing. And for some reason I thought it'd be a good idea to whisper, "Are you thinking of England?" into her ear during the kiss. Brains can be weird. I like to think that she'll be thinking of England for the rest of her life. My boyfriend and I were getting hot and heavy when he starts becoming a little rougher and tugging on my hair, pulling me into different positions, etc. We're doing it doggy when all of a sudden, he pulls out, which leads to a massive, roaring, bed-shaking queef of the century, like it echoed through his goddamn room. We went from moans to bursting out in laughter and we had to take a little break just to gather ourselves from it before continuing. She was my second proper girlfriend. I was her first boyfriend. We had the house to ourselves and were starting to get hot and heavy, in my mum's bed no less. Realized that I had no condoms, so decided to cycle the 3 miles to the 24-hour petrol station to buy some. Grabbed my bike and discovered that the saddle was broken, so began my journey riding standing up. Soon realized that I was nowhere near fit enough to do the whole journey this way, but powered through regardless. Eventually got to the window and got my condoms, then began the return trip. Cycling standing up is getting pretty tiring now, so I try sitting down on the blunt metal seat stem. Not a great idea. Absolutely hating my life by this point, but the thought of getting some keeps me going. Get back to my house in a state of wheezing sweat and clamber up the stairs to find my lovely lady fast asleep in the bed. Wake her up and try and get her back in the mood, but the moment has well and truly gone. Keep persisting, but the earlier exertions and the excitement of the situation have really taken their toll on me. Before either of us know what's hit me, I vomit all over the bed and her and pass out. TL. Dr. Condom catastrophe. Broken bicycle. Vomit vagina. She masturbated twice by slipping Paradise by the Dashboard Lights into an otherwise romantic playlist. It was supposed to be a joke. Meatloaf is apparently never funny. Ha 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 ha. I love that song, man. It was my parents' romance song when they were dating. And, well, I tried to make it mine too, I guess. The fiancé is not a fan. Not at all. Throw away because she'll freaking murder me if she finds out that I blabbed. Back when we were first dating, my now wife and I were going through that wonderful let's frick like 5 times a day because attraction and hormones phase. We'd been on the sauce the night before and ended the night in that most British of traditions, scarfing down a takeaway kebab. So we're a bit hungover, but being young and frisky as frick, that doesn't stop us. An emergency McDonald's breakfast with coffee soon brings us back up to speed, and we're away again. Now, alcohol, bad takeaway food and coffee tend to have a certain effect on a person's digestive system. We did not take this seriously enough, especially as after some heated foreplay, I lie back, she turns and lowers onto my dong, butt pointing beautifully at me. She grinds away, and it's mutually incredible, so much so that it isn't long until we're both racing towards orgasm. She starts, and sets me off as well. Unfortunately, she also sets off an apparently inevitable chain reaction in her bowels. I'm on the vinegar strokes here, and she's bucking like a bronco, so we were both helpless to stop what came next. She lets rip a torrent of the foulest effluents, covering my chest and bedsheets and vile bum water. I could do nothing but shout in horror, and, sadly, continue to CM. Needless to say, it was straight in the shower for us, and the washing machine for those poor sheets. She made me swear never to tell a living soul. Sorry. On the other hand, ladies, if you can douse your man in liquid stink and he still wants to be with you, hang on to him because he truly loves you. TL. DR. My wife literally crap all over me during orgasm. I married her anyway. It actually makes sense that you married her. Reminds me of what T.S. Garp said about buying a house that had just been hit by a plane. This is the worst thing that can happen to this house. We'll be safe here. You walked down the aisle secure in the knowledge that your new wife could never do her worst to you, because she already had. Drunkenly tried to throw a used condom into my bedroom trash. The condom struck my girlfriend and all my drunken mind could muster was to say, "Keep the change, you filthy animal." Got the silent treatment for a week. That got me laughing so hard I snorted. Hope you guys are still together. A girl I was crushing on in high school was extremely flirty with me, with constant random cheek kissing and all that. One day, she got really physically close to me and asked, "Slick guy, do you have a girlfriend?" I didn't wanna come across as a noob, so I flatly lied, yes, hoping to look cool and impress her. In the subsequent months she no longer was so flirty. It wasn't until in college that I realized she had asked me that question because she wanted to check if I was single. So in hindsight, yes, I was a noob. Legendary noob. But you live and you learn. 1. Farted at the moment of climax in a 69. She was on the bottom. 2. Took a sip out of a beer sitting nearby while making eye contact mid-thrust. She started crying, got her things and left. Whoops. A girl farted on me, just a tiny one, whilst 69. She turned around and said, "We never speak of this again," and then I left. Next morning I had pink eye, no joke. I took a hot wing challenge once when I was in my early 20s. Later that night a girl from high school started messaging me and invited me over. One thing led to another as we made our way to the bedroom. After a bit of fooling around, I took a break to go pee and decided to squeak out a fart as my stomach was a bit upset. Turns out it wasn't just a fart waiting to come out, was definitely accompanied by a bit of poo. I cleaned myself up and went back into the room to make some excuse about having to work early the next day and excused myself to drive across the street and crap my brains out at a gas station. You know it's gonna be a good story when it starts with I took a hot wing challenge. I did a silent but disgusting fart in his college bedroom when it was only the two of us. Imagine methane mixed with hydrogen sulfide. Hydrogen sulfide methane reformation is a method of making liquid hydrogen. Just for your information. Roommates had a sauna in the front room in their bedroom. They had slipped back to have an intimate moment and I was in the front. I wanted to listen to some music and pulled up the Sonos app on my phone, but I picked the wrong speaker, so instead of getting the music I wanted in the front room, they got some bumping EDM. Seems like freaking to EDM is a good way to pull a muscle. It's a shame that the guy always has to make the first move. To which I responded, I know, it's not great for someone like me with social anxiety. Alpha as frick. I ruined an intimate moment by running away from a snake. Him and I were cuddling and making out at the side of a river when he noticed a snake emerging from the banks. "Baby, look out," he said, and I bolted. He wanted to do the cute man thing by picking me up and carrying me away, but I left him and the snake right where I found them. Walked into my room in college and asked my roommate if he had checked the rat traps. Turns out he was about to get lucky, but the girl was really scared of rats, mice, small rodents, and I totally freaked her out. In my defense, there was no sock tie note on the door and the door wasn't locked, but yeah, I never saw that girl again. I went to his house after work and we started making out and it got pretty hot and heavy. He could tell I was tired and asked if I wanted him to stop. I told him no, keep going. I fell asleep. He could tell I was tired and asked if I wanted him to stop. I told him no, keep going. I fell asleep. Well dang. How did the following morning go? I went butt to mouth. I mean, it wasn't even my idea. Heck, I wasn't even expecting anal, as I knew she didn't like it very much, and it usually ended up only happening when Shark Week lined up with a special occasion, and this was just some Thursday night when we were watching sunshine, start making out, feeling each other up, some foreplay, some oral. I get up to go get the condoms. She says just bring the lube, which meant butt sex. Another 10 minutes of eating and fingering her butt and we're in. When it gets time to finish, I ask her where she wants my CM. In the past she'd complain about having to sit on the toilet and push it out. Sexy, I know. Anyway, I'm thinking on her butt, on her T, on her face, maybe even just inside her. I want you to CM in my mouth. I didn't think twice, it was something I'd never ask her to do, but I always thought it was hot in pee, so frick yeah, I always wanted her to be dirty in bed. A few more thrusts, I pull out, she turns around, takes me all the way in her mouth, then pulls back until just the tip is in her mouth, then her face goes queasy and she throws up all over my dong, my stomach, my bed. While I didn't feel any obstructions and gave my dong a brief eye check when I pulled out, I didn't notice, and neither did she, a caked on ring of incidental fecal matter beneath the ridge on the head of my junk. As she sucked back up my dong, she dislodged this and got a mouthful of crap. Okay, not a mouthful, but the taste of a mouthful. There was a lot of apologizing, cleaning and vodka consumed afterwards, and I never did get to CM that night. Dude. Bro. But seriously, dude. One time I farted while I was having sex with my ex. That was ruined. Another time I told my current girlfriend, instead of saying your pee is so tight, I ended up saying your dong is so big, what she usually says to me. I stopped and she started laughing. Then we continued after that. She's the one. One night during the foreplay, I leaned in to whisper something sexy to my fiancé, and for some goddamn reason my brain spit out the Muffin Man. In my defense, it was a spot on impression of the gingerbread man from Shrek. I just died from laughter. Had to haunt computer to write this. One time, a guy asked me how I learned to do something and I responded easy taught me. I thought it was hysterical. Him not as much. I have wanted to reply with this so many times, but never felt brave, carefree enough. I would find it hilarious. I'm just worried what the reaction would be. I went out to smoke with a friend. We packed the one hitter a few times, when all of a sudden we see what looks to be a person coming out to where we were, a field by the train tracks. So we left, but then went back to just outside the little area where we were at. Lo and behold, two people freaking. We're pretty far gone at this point, so we're just watching them go, giggling our asses off. Eventually, the chick turns around, doggy style, and I waved. At that point we left. I am a bad person. Edit. Yes, she did wave back. Not a bad person at all. This is hilarious. Not me, but my puppy ruined it. The husband and I were going at it. He was sitting on the floor with his back against the couch, and I was on top, riding him. He was getting close. Things were intense, and out of nowhere our puppy puts her paws up on the couch and licks my husband on the ear. He was giggling too much to finish. What a jealous little tyke. I was getting head and I blasted her with gas right in the face. I laughed so hard that more little farts kept slipping out. One of the first times, if not the first time, my ex was giving me head. I was laying on the couch, head on the armrest, and she was laying across the rest of the couch, completely linear. As I am about to bust a nut in her mouth, I fart quite the significant fart while she is perfectly downwind and my spunk is filling her cheeks. We dated for 2 years after that. TLDR. I farted while cooming in my ex's mouth. That's true love right there. In the heat of the moment, neither of us were paying much attention to anything but each other. Was doing her doggy style when suddenly the fire alarm started to go off out of nowhere, completely shattering the sex trance we were both in, and we both freaked out, tumbling over each other trying to figure out what the heck was going on. I looked to my right and just a few feet from me, a pillow that she had thrown toward the bedside table had come to rest right above a candle there, and burst into flames about 3 feet high. I grabbed the burning pillow and ran it to the bathroom, completely naked, and threw it in the tub and turned the shower on. All the while the alarm kept going off and my dog was running around in circles around us freaking out and barking. We both just sat on the couch after that for like 10 minutes smoking a bowl thinking WTF just happened. Seriously, I would think that it was my killer stroke that set off the fire alarm before I realized that something was actually on fire. Not so much ruined as hilariously destroyed. A few months ago my girlfriend was staying the weekend. Seeing as she lives a few hours away, we went out to dinner, came home, had a few beers, and watched some Netflix. Good times. So we head to bed and get a little gropey handsy and one thing leads to another and we end up doing the bedsheet shimmy and all was well. Hooray. I got up after cuddling for a while, as we are wont to do, and I go to the bathroom to go pee. On my way back in the bedroom I suddenly realize that, wow, I'm a little gassy from all the beer. Oh well, it'll pass. And boy howdy, did it pass. I crawl back in bed and I get on all fours over my girlfriend and we start kissing a little. As we're making out she stops and gently whispers to me, I could stay like this forever. It was really sweet and meant a lot to me. I love her so much. Anyway, as I was about to respond, my butthole decided to speak up first and released the gas that had built up inside of me all at once, which resulted in a very luwang and high-pitched fart, thus ruining the moment. Thankfully my girlfriend has an awesome sense of humor and thought it was hilarious. I was a little embarrassed at first but we had a great laugh together. 10/10 would do again. Now that's a relationship. 1. My wife is a joker in bed. She'll save up a good fart and let it fly in mid-thrust. Not a ruined moment necessarily, but it's an effort to stay hard when you're laughing uncontrollably. 2. Queefs. Sometimes queefs are funnier than farts. Results in same situation as above. 3. Forgetting to lock the door. My 6 years old has seen some crap. 4. The doorstop incident. When you're ramming hard as heck as deep as you can in and out and you pull out a wee bit too much and then slam your dong into something not her vagina. Oh the pain. Well, I took this girl out one Friday night. Made myself look good. Walk alone to set the mood. Anyway, later on in the evening we started making out, and she took off my pants, but then I turned on the TV, and that's about the time she walked away from me. Nobody likes you when you're 23. I was on my way home at about 2 AM, drunk on my bicycle through a forest along a main road. I see this car parked on the opposite side and think to myself, what if something happened to them? I should check on them. So I call the cops, give them my position and ask them to hold the line while I check on the car. Get there, look inside. I'm greeted by a naked butt and a guy waving me to leave. Tell the cops everything is alright and continue on my way home. But honestly, I've seen quite a few people having car sex right next to bike trails. Why do they think that would be okay? Maybe I just need to stop riding my bike in the middle of the night. I walked out of my apartment the other day to the attached parking garage and there was a car parked literally in the space in front of the door. As I passed by I see the guy in the driver's seat casually getting head by some girl. Like WTF, you are right by the door. I have ruined sex twice by laughing. The first time was when I heard my first queef and couldn't help but let out a chuckle. The second time, I was having sex in a car doing the girl doggy style. At some point her head smacks against the window and I pull out and start laughing. It killed the mood very quickly, as you can imagine. Was at home with my girlfriend at the time. I slipped my hand down her pants between her legs and start fingering her. She started to get into it and then I had this idea. I pulled my hand out and held it up with my index and middle finger down as if they were missing. Like a scene out of the movie Teeth, I shrieked but couldn't hold back the laughter. She wasn't amused at all. I got nothing that night. Was totally worth it. I let a friend use my house as a bang palace once. He used my room, so I just hung out in the living room and told him that I would knock and warn him if my parents came home for some reason. But about 20 minutes in, I thought maybe they might get hungry, so I made them some toast, knocked lightly on the door, and said that if they took a break and were hungry, there was toast at the door. They had music playing and couldn't hear what I said, so they emerged from my room a minute later, fully clothed and terrified. But my ex-girlfriend was waiting for me naked in bed to start some sexy times. Being the suave, sophisticated fellow I am, I decided to take a short running start and jump on the bed next to her. Next thing I know I bounce and am flying butt over tea kettle over her and off the other side of the bed, at which point I hit the floor and let out an earth-shattering fart. Not so much with the sex that time. We were both laughing too hard. Oh man, where to begin? The first time I was ever naked hooking up with a guy, fairly late in life, compared to others. In the middle of him fingering me I asked him if he was circumcised and how to tell if a guy was or wasn't. Asked the same guy if I could buy him a burger in the middle of him doing me in the butt. I was really hungry. It was all I could think about. He started laughing so hard he had to stop. Same guy. We were out at dinner and he took my hand and started saying all these sweet things to me while looking deep into my eyes. I would have liked to respond and say something sweet in return, but I had a huge mouthful of bread that I took another 30 seconds to finish chewing before I could say anything. In the middle of me giving him, yes, same guy, my virginity, I started telling him how I'd do anything he wanted from me. I told him I'd FCK 5 guys if he wanted me to. He started laughing and was like, WTF, where did that come from? That's weird. Hey, heat of the moment I say some weird crap. How this guy still talks to me and is attracted to me, I have no idea. Sounds like a keeper. Not me, but my wife. We were on our honeymoon in Hawaii. It was a perfect day. Wake up to delicious purple taro root muffins courtesy of the hotel. Spend some time in Hanoma Bay snorkeling with aquatic wildlife. Take a walk up Diamond Head Mountain and back. Go to Luau with delicious food and crazy entertainment. Go back to the hotel room. Begin fooling around. It gets hotter, heavier. We start making love. She tells me to put in her butt. I do. Lavender slime coating my dong. Apparently, taro root doesn't digest very well if you're not used to it. I was a supervisor at my old job. We had a new employee, a guy who was still going to school. He was young, charismatic, and hella attractive. We also had a new volunteer working with us. She was young, charismatic, and hella attractive. The two got along with each other right from the start, and found every excuse to work privately with each other. Now, while you might think that this is shouting we are a couple to everyone within a 100-foot radius, it turns out they thought they were being stealthy with their workplace romance. I'm not one to talk about other people's personal lives, nor really take an interest. I had no reason to comment on them, so they continued to think they were workplace romance ninja masters. So it's our last workday of 2014. Everyone is eager to get home and start their holiday. We all break off on our separate ways to go home. Unfortunately, a tempted ninja romance couple walk the same path as I do to go home, and are trying their best to shake me off. I am a naturally fast walker, so everything they do to lose me isn't helping. I'm catching up at streetlights every time. They are clearly feeling awkward, but frick it, this is the quickest route home. I'm not changing that for them. They can stop trying to outrun me and fall behind like they have every other day. After the latest stoplight, they break into what I can only describe as a casual sprint. I figure frick it, I'll pay the $3 and take the subway home, if only to avoid their awkward attempts at avoiding me. Unfortunately, after paying my $3 and heading inside the terminal, I find the two standing together in loving embrace, clearly glad to be away from me. Their faces upon sighting me can only be described as vacantly horrified. They were wordless, unresponding to my casual wave as I paid for my overpriced Subway vendor snack cakes. They continue to stare at me horrified for the entire transaction, afraid to move, unaware that my authority over them hasn't ended, as I am on freaking holiday now. Finally, I break the silence. Did you guys think this was a secret? We all know. Nobody cares. More horrified silent stares. This is getting awkward, and I break the silence in the first way that comes to mind. I grab the railings to the stairs, give them a military salute, a curt nod, and a gigantic frickin' smile. See you in the year 2015. B. And I leapt around the corner, down the stairway, and out of their lives, as that volunteer never returned. Perhaps not the most intimate moment, nor the worst way to ruin one, but it clearly shattered their delusions of stealthy romance, and is my favorite memory from working that job. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.